Before becoming sworn enemies, Israel and Iran maintained close strategic ties. This documentary explores the 1979 revolution, the rise of Ayatollah Khomeini, and the hidden events that transformed a partnership into one of the world's most dangerous rivalries. This is the story of how allies became enemies and changed the Middle East forever.
In recent years, the skies over Israeli cities have been filled with the intense streaks of incoming Iranian missiles and drones. But half a century ago, the architects of this modern threat stood together in the desert. In 1977, Iranian officers traveled to the Negev to witness an advanced Israeli missile test. This was the public test of Project Flower, a highly classified billion-dollar joint weapons program. Tehran provided the funding, while Israeli scientists provided the engineering. Today, these two nations are bitter regional adversaries. To understand how the co-developers of a secret weapon became its primary targets, we have to look at the strategic pressures that once forced them into a partnership. In the 1950s, the newly formed State of Israel found itself geographically encircled, blockaded by neighboring Arab nations that opposed its existence. To survive, Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion developed the periphery doctrine. If Israel could not find peace with its immediate neighbors, it would look past them to build alliances with the non-Arab powers on the edges of the region. This strategy was a direct response to the rise of pan-Arab nationalism, led by Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser, which threatened traditional regimes across the Middle East. The Shah of Iran was the ideal partner. As a non-Arab, pro-Western monarch, he shared Israel's concerns regarding radical Arab states and expanding Soviet influence. A quiet exchange forms the basis of their alignment. Facing an Arab oil embargo, Israel received steady Iranian crude. In return, Israel exported agricultural technology, industrial aid, and modern military hardware. This cooperation included intelligence sharing between the Mossad and Iran's security service, SAVAK. However, the relationship was kept strictly informal. Israeli diplomats operated out of a mission in Tehran that was officially labeled as an agricultural office. This pragmatic alliance allowed both nations to navigate a hostile neighborhood for decades. However, its survival was tied to the specific strategic alignment of the Shah's regime, making the partnership dependent on the continuity of his rule. In early 1979, the Pahlavi monarchy was overthrown during the Islamic Revolution. Ayatollah Khomeini returned from exile to lead a new theocratic republic built on a rejection of Western influence and the established regional order. Khomeini defined Israel as an illegitimate Zionist entity and a cancerous tumor. Under this new ideological framework, opposing the Jewish state became a central religious duty and a pillar of the republic's identity. The formal break was immediate. Iran severed all diplomatic ties, seized the Israeli mission in Tehran, and formally transferred the building to the Palestine Liberation Organization. This shift was a calculated tool for regional influence. By championing the Palestinian cause, a non-Arab, Shia-led Iran could claim leadership over the broader Sunni-dominated Middle East. In 1980, the survival of the new republic was threatened by an invasion from Saddam Hussein's Iraq. In a startling contradiction, Israel resumed selling military parts and aircraft components to Tehran. Both governments prioritized the immediate danger of an Iraqi victory over their mutual hostility. Israel wanted a stalemate to drain its Arab rivals, while Iran required the parts to maintain its Western-built military. This fragile status quo held until the early 1990s, when the Cold War ended and Iraq was decisively defeated in the Gulf War. The defeat of Iraq and the collapse of the Soviet Union removed the common threats that had once anchored the secret cooperation. This left a power vacuum in the region, where Israel and Iran emerged as equal-dominant military powers. Without shared enemies to force them into the shadows together, the two nations shifted into a direct competition for regional influence. Israel responded by flipping its old strategy. Under a reverse periphery doctrine, it forged quiet alliances with Sunni Arab states, fearing Tehran's military weight. Iran countered by building the Axis of Resistance, a network of allied militias projecting power directly onto Israel's borders. Tehran heavily funded and armed groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, allowing Iran to strike at Israel indirectly through proxy forces. This system formalized the confrontation, turning decades of hostile rhetoric into continuous, actual bloodshed across multiple borders. The map of the Middle East had inverted. Where Israel once looked to Iran to outflank the Arab world, it now looked to the Arabs to outflank Iran. By the early 2000s, the rivalry reached a critical threshold as intelligence revealed that Tehran's goals went far beyond local proxy groups. Investigators identified an advancing industrial program for uranium enrichment, bringing Iran closer to the technical requirements for a nuclear weapon. The Israeli military establishment viewed a nuclear-armed Iran as an absolute existential threat that had to be halted. Because a direct airstrike risked full-scale war, Israel turned to covert sabotage. This included sophisticated cyber attacks aimed at crippling Iran's industrial infrastructure. The era of pragmatic partnership is over. Israel realizes the nation it once built missiles with is now racing toward the ultimate weapon, ensuring the secret friendship has been replaced by a deadly nuclear shadow war.
So what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Redline Report for more interesting stories like this.